come and gone is at least mine and Zach's favorite time of the year. But now starts our own football legacy in the Michigan Panthers. Jake Bates 2.0.
The Michigan Panther will be joining the Lions next year.
I want Frank the Tank.
Frank the Tank.
One of their defensive ends.
But in homage to our very first episode here on Mittcast, it's coming similar time of year, not quite the same. Just we wanted a little bit closer to the seasons. We are going to, not just the Lions this time, we are going to kind of take a general look back at all three of the teams this year, Michigan State, Michigan, the Lions. We'll recap, go through all the games, give our feelings as we kind of remember them going throughout the season. And at the end of each team's segment, we'll give a rating out of 10 on how we felt the season went. Leading up with that, or following that, we got the Michigan State Spartans and their 2024 college football season.
Yep. So, quick overview: 5-7 overall, 3-6 in the Big Ten. I know I was way overly optimistic going into this game or going into this season, when I probably should have been a little bit more realistic. But let's get into it. Week 1, Florida Atlantic. How this game probably should have foretold the rest of the season, and I chose to say, nah, it was just the rain.
Yeah. Looking back, this game definitely foretold the season a lot more than we thought.
Yeah, it's a 16-10 win by Michigan State, so first win in the Jonathan Smith era. Let's go. Which would be super quick at the stats here. 293 total yards, 248. That should have been telling. And 3 turnovers to 2. That should have been uber telling. We'll kind of just cover the main guys here. Aiden Childs, dog shit game. 10 for 24, 114 yards, 2 picks. Awesome, dude. Cameron came out of nowhere real fast, but now he's gone. So, oh well. I mean, 9 carries, 101 yards, tutty. And Nick Marsh didn't really have his breakout yet. 1 catch for 11 yards. There's still some hype around him. So we leave week 1. Went 1-0. Feeling on top of the world.
Undefeated.
Maryland, the first Big Ten game. Week 2, I believe, because we didn't have a bye week before this. 27-24 win for your Michigan State Spartans.
Bang.
484 total yards to 339. 3 turnovers to 1. Still, again, this should have foretold the season.
But in the same regard, you're beating a Big Ten opponent, and you're like, oh, we feel kind of good about it. And
maybe kind of thought Maryland was going to be like middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a 27-24 win. Aiden Childs 24 for 38, 363 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. So not as dog shit, but we should have started noticing the interceptions. And this is where Nick Marsh had his homecoming, his shout-out game. 5 catches, 194 yards, and a tutty with a long of a 77-yard bomb. Running backs are so-so. They're right, I guess. Kind of mid, in my opinion, but... So, you leave week 2, 2-0. Then, go on. Hardest game of the year. Your FCS opponent, Prairie View A&M. We're not really going to know, because I think he threw a couple picks in this one, so we are actually going to talk about it. It was a 40-0 win, so you love to shut out an FCS opponent like that, especially when you're a Power 5, and you should be doing that. 458 yards to 140 total yards. He didn't throw. No, the pick he got had a flag on it, so it came back. So never mind, we were good. They had 1 pick, which was Chuck Brantley, who is now gone off to Miami. You motherfucker, chasing the goddamn bag. But Chuck Brantley with a 100-yard pick 6, probably the greatest defensive play we had all game or all season. So, lol, that's how that went. We're 3-0. We're feeling on top of the world. I'm like, we're going to make some noise in the Big Ten year 1. Let's go. Then we go to Boston College. It is pissing rain out.
Yeah, pouring.
It's their red bandana game. You lose 23-19. I think not pissing rain. It's not their bandana game. They don't have an extra reason to win this game. I think this is a win for Michigan State, and they ended up going 4-0. Unfortunately, this was the beginning of the end.
Not a bad loss by any means.
By the way, when I read off...
Boston College also did look pretty good at the time.
Yeah.
Start. When I read off these stats, I am always saying Michigan State's first and then the opponents. I'm just trying to be quick with it. 368 total yards, 292. and 4 turnovers to 1.
Ooh.
I still chose to be like, no, it's just jitters. It'll be fine. Aiden Child, 17 for 35, 241 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 picks. Moving on to game number 5, which we went to. This is part of our doubleheader.
It's in the vlogs.
The first one.
In the vlogs.
Yep, we hosted the now national champion Ohio State Buckeyes and got blanked 38-7.
Boinked.
Blanked.
Blanked.
Yeah,
blanked. Yeah. Yep. I mean, kind of expected this to happen. Although I think in the first quarter we all kind of had some confidence that Michigan State would have made this close, but
there was like, oh shit, it might be close, and then it just
they pulled away. Yeah, the Jordan Turner pick kind of put some life in the stadium, and then they took it away just as quickly. But 246 total yards to 483. Ouch. 3 turnovers to 1. Ouch.
Yikers.
Yeah. Aiden Childs, 13 for 19, 167 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. So one of his better games. Weird, considering it's Ohio State, not Boston College.
So the opponent is.
Running game did jack shit.
I remember just watching that and just like, God, they are doing nothing.
Yeah. Shout out Jeremiah Smith for that insane one-handed catch for the touchdown.
Yeah, that was the one where
That was the one
You
where
ain't got that dog.
you ain't got that dog in it.
you was like, oh man, you a
And
small
then
boy.
immediately after that, he
Oh.
fucking.
Yeah, you got made to look like a fool there. Sam.
That's fine. That's fine.
So falling to
was funny.
3-2 on this season, you're like, well, not all is over. Boston College, maybe a fluke of a game. It's Ohio State.
yeah.
They're gonna get us. Then we traveled to Oregon. There weren't very high hopes for this game. It was a 31-10 loss. However, I think watching this game, because I think we watched this game
we
together.
did watch this game together. I missed the very start of it, where the first drive where you guys marched down there and fumbled, but I was
It was a much closer game than the score actually foretells. Just straight watching this game, I thought we actually had a shot there for a minute because they didn't pull away until close to the end of the fourth quarter.
But in also the same regard, they also once they got the 31-10, they immediately pulled everyone. So like for the rest of it was like pretty much the start of the fourth quarter. They played like one drive and then starters were out. So it's like a weird balance. Like the score could have been closer, but you guys probably still would have lost by like 10, 14 points. It's one of those weird ones where it's like you still feel better than the score indicated at the end of the day, no matter what would have happened.
Yeah.
Plus, you had to go all the way to Eugene.
Yeah.
Yeah, total yards, 250 to 477. Surprisingly, won the turnover battle 1-2. Let's go. We picked off Daly Gabriel twice. I mean, for a guy getting his first full season started, Aiden Childs 10 for 17, 154 yards against what we then thought was going to be the national champ Oregon Ducks. It's an eye game. It's just not much receiving wise. I mean, ball kind of spread out. Like Marshman, Torrey Foster. It's a game that they looked decent in, but the fumbles just kind of killed us. Just story of the season, turnovers, killing us. Experience, killing us. So, you lead the game 3-3. You're like, okay, that was the murderer's row. It's only uphill from here, right?
You got to buy.
We had to buy. And then Iowa came to town. And I'm like, you know what? I think we might be able to rattle off some wins here, boys. You know what? We rattle off win.
Well, and then even after the Iowa game and what Michigan just did, you were going into that rivalry game. But the moods going into that game to where we are now is completely changed.
Yeah. So you got a 32-20 win over Iowa at home. Was supposed to go this game, unfortunately did not make it. Team stats wise, 468 total yards of offense to 283. I mean, it's Iowa, so it's kind of expected that your offense is going to be doing a little bit more than Iowa. 1-1 in the turnover battle. So I mean, realistically, probably two pretty evenly matched teams here in the Big Ten. Angels 22 for 30, 256 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. And the only reason I'm covering Angels so much is because this dude has to be our future. So we need to look at this and then hopefully look at next year and see some growth. Some growth.
I like the singing there, buddy.
He also added 51 on the ground. Nick Marsh had a game with 8 catches, 113 yards. Did not get a touchdown. Instead, Montori stole his touchdown from him. 5 catches, 100 yards, and a tutty. I mean, we held Iowa down pretty well. Caleb Johnson got his on a really long touchdown run. But other than that, it was 13 carries for 23 yards for him. So kind of reminiscent of the MSU of old, where the defense was actually playing pretty good. Granted, like I said, it's not a great offense being Iowa. But, we'll take the win no matter what. 4-3.
A win is a win.
And then we're heading into hate week. Straight hate week. Riding high. Just beat Iowa. 4-3. We're like, yeah, we're going to move to 5-3. Nope. Lost 24-17. Granted, this game was actually pretty damn fucking close. Most game. And in my opinion, MSU outcoached themselves and just threw the game away to Michigan for the most part. And I think part of that is because Aiden Childs just
his
get
frontal
better,
cortex isn't fully developed. He is under 25.
Just get better, buddy.
Ours isn't fully developed either, Bubba.
Shut up. It ain't going to get there, buddy.
Total yards, 252 to 265. This is also another reason why you're like, what the fuck happened? Turnover battle, 1-0. Only committed one turnover to that Michigan defense was nutty.
And that turnover was... I'll get into that one, too, when we come back around to it.
Childs, 17 for 23, 189 yards, and a tutty. Nate Carter had a really solid game against that Michigan front seven, which was surprising. 19 carries, 118 yards, and a tutty. Longest run of 34, so he was still getting some chunk plays here and there on those other carries. It's not like super inflated like Caleb Johnson was this week prior. And then receiving game was pretty distributedly evenly. And then the only turnover, of course, came from Aiden Childs. A fumble. Anyways, so you want to get to that turnover?
I'll get to it when I'm talking about Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, good fought game. If Aiden Childs has a little bit more experience under him, this could have been a win probably. If Jonathan Smith has a little bit more experience playing in the Big Ten, this maybe could have been a win. We should have known what this season was going to bring. Unfortunately, we didn't.
Anyways, just chose to look away.
Fuck you, Colson Loveland, and whatever the fuck happened on the sideline, just coming out of nowhere. That whole situation. Fuck this rivalry.
Let's not talk about it.
Fuck this rivalry.
Let's not talk about it.
Can we just like each other just a little bit more?
No.
Anyways, so you're coming off the coattails of losing to your rival. You're 4-4. Going to Indiana. And at this point, we were sitting here like, Indiana? Pff, frauds, dude. They ain't played nobody, right?
Right?
Right? Ooh. Well, I guess we're one of the nobodies that they played because they beat us 47-10. Yeah, that was a... I sat through this game and watched the entire thing. Where is this game, ESPN? Jesus Christ. Why is this so fucked up? There it is. Yep, 47-10. They just smacked us around. Kurt Signetti pulled it out and just started swinging it. 193 total yards to 385. 2 turnovers to 0. Angel, 16 for 24, 193 yards, touchdown, 2 picks. Nothing running. Nothing really receiving besides Nick Marsh. 5 catches, 78 yards, and a touchdown. And the thing is, like, this game is the same thing with, like, Ohio State. Like, you came out and you were matching them at first. And then I think this is kind of... I think this game broke the defense. And they just kept scoring and scoring and scoring. And then Childs got on his head, and they just kept scoring and scoring and scoring and scoring. So, yeah, you get your ass whipped by Indiana fucking Indiana of all teams. Leaving 4 and 5. You had a bye week. Time to rest up, make some adjustments.
Make a bowl game push.
Do you think they made adjustments? No,
No.
they didn't.
Perfect.
Going to Illinois. Get fucked. 38-16. Lol. Shardy. Haha. This season broke me so much, guys. 343 total yards, 369. Surprisingly, no turnovers for Michigan State. Same thing for Illinois, so that's probably why they beat us. Wow. Ian Childs, 23 for 40, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 256 yards. Running game, non-fucking existent. Montorie Foster, that dude. Oh, Isaiah Johnson. Oh, you're not even on the team anymore, Nick Marsh. Oh, my Pookie Bear. We had to pay you so much money to stay. Nate Carter. Oh, he's gone to the draft. John Glover. Oh, goodbye. I'm pretty sure you play for Mississippi State now. Oh, K-Rod. Oh, yeah, you're a senior. You're gone. Jack Phillips, you're coming back. You're coming back.
Sounds like a broken man right now.
Yeah, so, coming out 4 and 6, and you're like, all right, shit. Well, got to get our shit together. Let's make this bowl game push. You host Purdue. Second to last home game of the season.
On our way to Indy.
Yeah, on our way to Indy. And we're like, yeah, we got this. Fuck Purdue, dude. You know what? Yeah, fuck Purdue. We won 24-17 to one of the worst, beat one of the worst teams in the whole of the nation by 7 points. But you know what? Still fuck them because we're just there with you, bud. 293 yards to 338 total yards. No turnovers for the Spartans. 2 for the Boilermakers. I'm so broken at this point. Ian Childs, 15 for 31, 159 yards, 2 tutties. Bro was putting it together. Came around 18 carries, 85 yards. No touchdown to be found. Yeah, receiving game just distributed again. Yeah, if we had lost this game, I would have crashed out. We probably would not have made it to Indy, to be honest with you. To be completely honest with you, that car would be in flames on the drive there.
Good thing we got to the Airbnb right before the game finished.
So, you go into the last game of the season at home. It's senior night against Rutgers. And I'm sitting here. I'm like, nah, dude, we're gonna beat the fuck out of Rutgers. We're gonna get bowl game eligible. And Zach's like, I don't know, man. Rutgers is kind of decent. And then the game came, and it was snowing. It was disgusting. It was a solid, probably 12 degrees out. Not even an inch of snow, but enough to make the ground just hard and frozen and just a light dusting of snow on it. And you want to know what happened? An ass whooping of the Spartans, as per how the season has gone. 41-14.
The mental state is just shot.
It is deteriorated throughout the
253 total yards to 365.
Him going back to talk about this whole season is just, you can just watch it. You're just watching the mental decline as he talks about it.
One Spartan turnover to no Rutgers turnovers. Let's get it with Aiden Childs. Mr. Aiden. 13 for 23, 150 yards, 1 tutty, no picks. He actually didn't cause the turnover. It was the true freshman quarterback, Alessio Milio Vokic. I don't know. I have no fucking clue. And we didn't even talk about penalties this season. That was also a huge fucking thing for the Spartans this season. All in all, for what the expectations I had in the hype around Aiden Giles and the hype around Nick Marsh coming into the season, Nick Marsh lived up to it. Aiden Giles did not. Which, to be expected, he didn't play that much at Oregon State. I mean, he got into probably about 8 total games, but only through, I think, he was under 30 passes thrown for that season. So not a ton of experience. He was a big guy in high school, got injured, so the offers on him kind of cooled off, and Jonathan stuck with him and brought him with him to Michigan State. I still have faith. All in all, 5-7 for where this team was left off with Tucker getting fired for being Tugger. And then Harlan Barnett just, coaching them into the goddamn ground because no one wanted to fucking play for him anymore. And so many guys sat out because they wanted to just preserve their bodies for the transfer portal. I'm looking at you, Simeon Barrow, who went to Miami. I'm looking at you, Derek Harmon, who went to Oregon. Looking at all of you motherfuckers right now. Looking at all 3 QBs that left. Especially Sam Levitt, who made it to the college football playoff. I mean, all in all, 5-7 is a good season to have for your first year coming into the Big Ten. The Big Ten owns college football. Get fucked everybody else.
It just means more, baby.
It just means more. I mean, all in all, I obviously the season hurts because Michigan coming off of the national championship, and then now Ohio State winning the national championship. It hurts, especially with Notre Dame also making it to that national championship. It hurts.
So in theory, we
all
should
3
be
schools that
making
we
it
fucking hate. It hurts.
So in theory, we should make it next year.
No, absolutely
Finish
fucking
this where
not.
it
That's
ate.
not happening.
Well, and then Penn State also made the semis. Indiana made the dance. Just on top of any other rivalries that you guys have. It's just not been the last 2
He's
good
got
years.
pissed on.
Yeah.
I did at work tell Tony to text me because I did tell him we were going to do the ratings thing. So I did tell him to give me his ratings, like out of 10. So we'll start with Tony. And he gave me a little thought blurb for each team. So Michigan State, he gave Michigan State a 7 out of 10. He said lots of young talent, showed what they can do. Future is bright for the green and white. Me?
That was a bar.
Me? I'll go 4.5 out of 10. Just because there's some of those games, those one possession games, you just as easily could have lost, like Maryland or Purdue, FAU,
I don't know how the fuck we beat Iowa.
where you're down and all of a sudden you're 2-10. And then on the flip side, there's the other ones like Michigan, Boston College, that you win those and now you're bowl eligible and your season gets a little bit of a different outlook. So yeah, I'll go 4.5 out of 10.
I'll just give it a straight 5, honestly, because there's a lot of young talent to be excited about with Nick Marsh, with Aiden Childs, with some of the defensive guys. There's still some more work there. Main hype around Aiden Childs and Nick Marsh. They look phenomenal together. If they have some more time together, they'll probably be alright. So we give it a 5 out of 10. I expected more, at least bowl eligible, because you're Michigan fucking State. You're a big brand. You should win those games that you lose like that.
I'm going to parrot what Colby said, go with a 5. Given the hand we were dealt, could have been worse, but it also should have been better. Could have, should have, would have been better.
Yeah, that's fair. Moving on to the Michigan Wolverines, finishing the season 8-5, 5-4 in the Big Ten, 7th in the Big Ten in terms of standings, so kind of dead middle in terms of that.
Yeah, y'all don't want to know where Michigan State finished.
First, we started off the season against Fresno State, and this very similarly to FAU for Michigan State could have been a kind of a sign to come with the season, as it was pretty obvious early on in this game that Michigan did not have a quarterback. Davis Warren did finish the game though, 15 of 25, 118 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Mikey Keene for Fresno State finished 22 of 36, 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Noteworthy because transfer quarterback to Michigan.
He's now Michigan Wolverine.
He is now a Michigan Wolverine. So that's the only reason I wanted to note it. We also got to see very early on that Donovan Edwards was not going to be what everyone thought he was going to be this season.
Get that man off my NCAA cover. He don't belong on there. He's tainting it.
Michigan goes up 16-3. Fresno State gets a little bit of a fight back, makes it 16-10. Michigan responds quickly after that drive, makes it 23-10. Fresno State's driving. Will Johnson with the pick 6. Disappointing start to the season. Kind of realized there's no quarterback on this team. This is not a top 10, top 15 team in the country just after the first game. After that, you had then number 3 Texas coming into town, and they they put belt to ass. They took it out and went wham. And
yeah, they did go wham.
Wham. This is, I think, Davis Warren's highest passing yard game all season. He went 22 of 33. So I think only because he threw the ball so much. 204 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. And again, nothing from Donovan Edwards. So you kind of knew.
Then the big game Don narrative just disappeared after that.
It did. Yep. Then following Texas, you had Arkansas State come in.
That was a little scary.
It was an interesting one because the final score was 28-18. Davis Warren, 122 passing yards, 3 interceptions. Then this is where, after this game, the whole quarterback roller coaster began. But Arkansas State final score 28-18. Michigan was up 28-3, and then
You got a little scared there for a second.
Arkansas State scored with 5.5 minutes left to make it 28-10. And they scored with 8 seconds left to make it 28-18. So a little scary, but also the final score is a little closer than the game actually was. But Davis Warren throwing 3 fucking interceptions. Coaching staff and everyone around it went, you can't fucking do that. As then ranked number 11 USC came into town for their first Big Ten action. And at this point in time,
what an overranking, God.
USC looked pretty good. That's also partially because they played and beat LSU, who was also then overranked and overrated at the time. Michigan beats USC 27-24. The stripe-out game. I was there. Kind of an electric environment. I was down in the end zone where Clem Mullins had that big run at the end of the game, the end zone where they scored. So after this game, Michigan's 3-1. I remember kind of thinking, I'm like, okay, so we don't have a quarterback because Alex Orji started this game. I'm like, we don't clearly have a quarterback. But I don't think this team is as bad. Like, I don't think they're that bad. I think they figure out the quarterback situation, and the defense has been solid. The running game has seemed to start to piece itself together within the last 2 games. Also noting, Alex Orji did start this game. He went 7-12 for 32 yards. So that was Michigan's passing against USC.
God, that was his stat line.
That was Michigan's passing for that game. Then
Alex Orji's such a funny player, dude.
He is
so funny.
He is hilarious. But then Minnesota came to town. The other game that I was at, this is the same day as the Michigan State-Ohio State game, so this is the first part of the doubleheader. Alex Orji.
Little brown jug.
Alex Orji, yes, the little brown jug. Alex Orji starts again, 10 of 18, 86 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. This game was a little weird because the way it started, the way it jumped out, Michigan jumped out to a 24-3 lead. I was like, okay, cool. So, like, this is what I kind of thought we were. Like, as long as we're not relying on the quarterback, we'll be able to win these games. Pretty handy. Like, we'll be able to do kind of what we want. And then Minnesota just started chipping away. And
Touchdown.
yeah, it went, touchdown. And then we kind of stopped the run for a little bit, kicked the field goal, and then touchdown, and then just the onside. Neither here nor there.
Stand by it. You got bailed on that.
But just from
Stand 10 toes down.
it's funny how in a season you can go from, okay, you're riding the high and you're feeling good about USC, you're feeling good through the first half of the Minnesota game, and then within a half of football, my outlook went from, cool, this is we're a top 25 team, we're gonna compete with everyone, we're not gonna necessarily win every game, we'll probably lose to Oregon, we'll probably lose to Ohio State. Colby said, didn't think anything of Indiana at the time. I was like, we'll be good. And then the second half happened, and you're like,
Oh, shit.
this team fucking... Just because you're just the roller coaster of being a fan, you're like, this team fucking sucks, dude. Then...
I was on that train way before then. No, it wasn't. I'm lying to myself.
Yeah.
I for some reason started thinking.
Then Michigan traveled out to Seattle for a national championship rematch. as these rosters, the coaching staffs were nowhere near the same in terms of name brand. This was a national championship rematch, but
On paper.
It's the washed rematch.
it was the washed rematch. This is this is like
National
your
need.
this is the classic meme of like you're driving with your mom and you're like, Mom, can we get McDonald's? And it's like, no, we have McDonald's at home. This is exactly what it was. It's like, Mom, can we have the national championship? No, we have it at home.
We had national championship at home.
Michigan.
It's a year expired.
Michigan starts their third quarterback of the season. Jack Tuttle comes in against Washington. Goes 10 of 18, 98 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. This is now the third straight game that Michigan has not had a quarterback throw over 100 yards. Washington starts the game out pretty strong early. They take the 14-0 lead. Then followed that, Michigan goes on a 17-0 scoring run to take the lead, 17-14. And then the wheels just kind of fell off the bus at that point. Jack Tuttle fell apart, the offense fell apart, and the defense was kind of forced to pick up the pieces, and they could only hold the pieces together for so long. After that, Washington finished on a 13-0 run, winning the game 27-17. Michigan going into the bye 4-2. Feeling pretty good about it. Not feeling the best after the loss, though. But with what was upcoming, I felt still pretty good because you were traveling to Illinois, hosting Michigan State. If you get those 2 games where I felt like Michigan could get a bounce back, then we can look down to the games after that and potentially look to play some spoiler there later on in the season. So coming off of a bye, what does good old Michigan do? Shit the bed against Illinois. Jack Tuttle, making his second start of the season and final, goes 20 of 32 for 208 yards and 1 interception. Michigan scored 1 touchdown in this game. This game was brutal. I can remember watching this game. Tony was watching this game with me. It's also the day where our first truly viral TikTok, when we posted it, where the Lions commented on our TikTok. That's what we were doing this day during this game, and it was just brutal. It just not looked any kind of semblance of put together, and it was embarrassing after the loss, and after the bye week. Then that's what I was frustrated about the most is that you're coming off of bye. You have an extra week to get ready for this game, and you just came out flat against some of the worst uniforms worn all season.
Welcome to the club.
Those,
In the club, we all fam.
do you guys remember? Do you guys remember those jerseys that Illinois wore?
Oh yeah, the true throwbacks.
Yeah.
Were they
with the
just
brown
straight-
helmets that look like the leather helmets.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Then we have the Michigan State game, and I kind of already mentioned it. I deflated, no hope going into this game. I didn't think that Michigan was going to win this game.
Oh, yeah, I thought we had you guys.
I
thought.
after you guys beating Iowa, after us losing to Illinois off of a bye, I'm like, there's no chance. It's over. And hell, even the way the game started, with you guys marching down and then missing the field goal, which it happened.
Yeah, after
And
I
then-
said, yeah, bro, Jonathan, he's automatic.
And then marching down again, and then actually getting in the end zone and scoring the touchdown. With those 2 drives, I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, this defense isn't stopping them. Marching down the field. All it takes is within the last minute of the first half, Michigan goes down, scores a touchdown, missed the PAT, but then you have the 1 turnover of the game, and that's where Childs is out rolling right, and Josiah Stewart comes and punches it out, and Michigan's able to then go ahead and kick a field goal. And that last minute of the half, the momentum was all on Michigan State's side, and then just completely went crashing over to Michigan. And when you're on the road in a situation like that, I think that's what killed Michigan State in that game. And they didn't recover until later on in the game, and it was almost too little too late at that point. That's how I felt as a Michigan fan. Now looking back and thinking about that moment.
Especially in a stadium like the Big House.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I say like Michigan State got outcoached that game, I mean like You should have gone to the fucking locker room and gotten your boys back hyped up to go back out there again. I mean, like, it's just one mistake. We clean that up. We keep doing what we're doing. We got them. And clearly that was not fucking had.
So what the fuck are you doing?
Clearly that wasn't had.
Also noteworthy, Davis Warren, then in the Michigan State game and the rest of the season, was the starter. The very next week, Michigan hosted the number 1 team in the country, the Oregon Ducks, and very similar to the Michigan State Oregon game. This game was a lot closer. It felt a lot closer. It was a lot closer than just box score looking, will have you believe, because final score was 38-17. Oregon scored a touchdown with 20 seconds left in the game as a middle finger. So it was 31-17, a 2-possession game. And there's the questionable there's the questionable call, or not call, but the not review of that catch, the first touchdown for Oregon.
That's catch. It's a catch.
So yeah, just
anything. That's a catch.
It was a loss, but it was one of those losses. You're like, man, it sucks, but you still kind of feel decent about it. And then you traveled to the 8th-ranked Indiana Hoosiers, and this started to breathe some hope, breathe some life back into the season for Michigan. As
I told this man, I say, hey man, watch out for them Hoosiers. They real, I guess.
Michigan lost to the Indiana Hoosiers 20-15. There was a few. This was the one game that I can really remember having true frustrations with Sharon for clock management. He seemed to kind of piece it together for the most part the rest of the season after this game.
Was this your rant episode that we had to cut because of the sound?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I wish you guys heard that. It was.
Oh, yeah, 'cause this is when you sold on the Michigan coaching staff or something like that, right?
Because it was the clock management in this game that was very, very frustrating. That Michigan could have won this game. And then Michigan had their bye week, and then we're getting set to play Northwestern for the final home game of the season. And then, what's that? Bryce Underwood, you want to come to Michigan? Okay, come here. Number 1 recruit Bryce Underwood flips from LSU to Michigan before the Northwestern game, and I don't know what it was. I don't know where it is.
Shit ton of money.
No, I know, I get that, but it just, I don't know if his commitment breathed some life into this team or something, because Michigan put some belt to ass against Northwestern. Final score 50-6. We were in Indy for this game.
Odds.
Literally unexplainable. I don't
They
get
essentially had another bye week. Northwestern's not a real football team. They don't even have a stadium right now.
That puts Michigan at 6-5 on the season, traveling into the game against Ohio State University, the number 2 team in the country at the time, and you are 23.5-point underdogs. And we didn't do a preview episode for this. I didn't think Michigan had a chance. I thought that Ohio State was going to pull out the belt and pull out a few more and bend us over and make us pay for what we had done over the last 3 years, and for how they felt like they were treated in terms of the cheating scandal, and just, losing the game 3 times, not winning the Big Ten Conference, and in the most inexplicable way, even more inexplicable now, Michigan beat the national champions at home 13-10. And I've said it a few times during the playoffs. It's Michigan winning that game is each game in the playoff, each round in the playoff progressed, it became more and more inexplicable that Michigan beat this team, as Ohio State then turned around and put belt to ass to Tennessee, then Oregon, and then controlled Texas and controlled Notre Dame. It makes no sense.
They also whipped the shit out of Indiana the week before this.
Yeah. It's just a random blob.
Literally what it is. Like, no, Ohio State, 100%. Yeah, they were the best team in the country at the entire season.
No, they
this year.
were.
They were.
Absolutely.
They got outsmarted by Oregon, and Ryan Day's broken when it comes to Michigan. You guys have broken him. Broke. Completely broke. Dude does not know what he's doing against Michigan. He says they're gonna run the football. Well, I need to run it better. Motherfucker, you got Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Brandon Innes, fucking Emeka Obuka. What are you fucking doing?
I don't get it. But with that, we have the final game for the Michigan football season as they were taking on the team that got snubbed from the playoffs. Number 11, Alabama. Michigan, another huge underdog in this game. I believe it was 16.5 points. Didn't expect Michigan to win this game either because Alabama had a lot of starters playing, and I just felt like the starters for Bama wanted to be like, yeah, this is why we should have been in the playoffs and just kill us. And Michigan was without a handful of defensive starters, without Colston Loveland, without their 2 running backs. But when Bama starts the game with a turnover on downs preceding, and then following that, 4 turnovers, Michigan goes up 16-0 and is able to just kind of sit back on their laurels and just chew the clock the rest of the game and just let the clock bleed. With that being said, Sam, out of a 10.
Oh, actually, wait. I have one more thing to add about this game here. About this Alabama game. I think the 2 biggest things that beat them were their ego and the weather. As these SEC teams are not built to play in any kind of inclement weather there is. I stand on that.
Yeah.
As soon as it started just on and off again raining, they were fucked.
Well, that's when all the turnovers happened, too.
They were fucked. They're not built like these Big Ten teams that have to play in the snow. And the ego doesn't help either. That they are fucking Bama. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. I think those are the 2 main reasons they lost there. Because Michigan's built to play in shitty weather. Bama? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of track athletes out there. You think they run in the rain? No.
Yeah, but with the end of the season, looking back, it's a little frustrating because looking back, Michigan could and should have beaten Indiana, Illinois, and Washington. I don't get those losses.
Same, but
yeah.
different.
That's a great callback because, I was watching the interview, but same,
but different.
With that being said, though,
They
Sam,
hate us because they ain't.
Sam, out of 10, what would you give the Michigan football season?
I would say a 7. It wasn't the greatest. I would say statistically with the 3 different quarterbacks. But you beat Ohio State. That's easily a point right there. You beat expectations and Bama. So yeah, I would give it a good 7 out of 10.
I say 7 out of 10 as well for the exact same reasons.
Yeah, I was gonna say 7.5, but I mean, right there with you guys. And if it wasn't for those last 3 weeks of getting Bryce Underwood, beating Northwestern, beating Ohio State, and beating Alabama this season, even if you don't get Bryce Underwood, but you beat Northwestern, you lose to Ohio State, and you lose your bowl game, this season's easily a 3.5, 4 out of 10 for me. But it's crazy how much of your season can be defined by 2 or 3 games or 2 or 3 weeks, and that's just part of it right there. It was awful for Michigan. If you would have asked me right before the Northwestern game, during that bye week, what would I give Michigan football season, I probably would have told you a 3 out of 10. But then with the end of the season, it changes. And then Tony gave Michigan a 6 out of 10. Said, didn't expect to repeat, but some weak performances dampened my spirits. Now, we got the kitty cats.
Know about Bryce Underwood.
We got the kitty cats. Detroit Kitty Cats. I think ESPN has kept these in order. They have. Okay. Thank God.
Yes.
Thank God.
Thank God.
These
Okay.
are in order.
Lions kicked off the season on Sunday Night Football against the Los Angeles Rams. They won 26-20 in overtime.
Yeah, we watched Monty. I wanted him
Yeah,
to
this-
come into my arms.
He kind of basically did from where we were.
Yeah.
But yeah, this first game of the season, we were there. It was electric to be a part of, Goff versus the Rams when it matters. Part 2.
2.0. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were there for the original and the sequel. You, buddy, get fucked.
I still wanted to give you a fist bump, Sam.
Thank you, Pookie.
There was some national concerns about the Lions' offense after this game, but internally and with this group, we had the wherewithal to kind of take the step back and go, these guys did not play in the preseason.
Yeah.
We get it. It's going to be a little bit of a slow start to the season for them. But then came week 2, and in came Captain Zinn.
I blame the gray pants.
Lions 16, Buccaneers 20. This was I was in Detroit for this, not at the game, but looking back, I think this is. I don't think the Lions lose this game at any other point in the season.
Oh yeah.
Even in the playoffs. I think a lot of this loss can be credited to the off-season rust, and them getting back into form and into shape, and I think that honestly is why we lost this game.
Yeah. It I would say 9 times out of 10 we win this.
Yeah.
Like, and as you said, like any time else in the season, cakewalk.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is I think Todd Bowles and the Bucks match up with us so extremely well compared to, like, not that not a lot of teams do compared to us and match up with us well. And I think as long as Todd Bowles has his personnel and he's the coach of the Bucks, I think that it's just going to be a salsa dance between us and them.
Yeah.
I think they are going to give us hell every single time because of the way that Todd Bowles plays the game with blitzing. It's different than, like, fucking what's his face? Defensive coordinator for the Vikings.
Oh.
Was the Miami head coach?
But no.
Brian Flores. It's different in the way than Brian Flores does. Brian Flores just says, "I'm gonna drop my balls out and blitz you." No, Todd Bowles is kind of smart about it. So, just something I wanted to add on to there.
Yeah.
Get some playoff rematch and all.
Then we had week 3. Lions traveled to Arizona. They beat the Cardinals 20-13, but did not score in the second half. Again, another moment where people in the outside media are starting to, okay, it's been 3 games now. When is this all-star offense that we were supposed to be seeing? Where are they at? I'll tell you where they were at. Monday Night Football. Lions, Seahawks, first rendition of the Black Unis. Lions 42, Seahawks 29. I think this is kind of the game where our offense woke up and people realized, okay. Go ahead, Sam.
I'll be using this a lot.
It's like maybe I judge you too harshly, and I feel like the offense woke up this game, and you had the Waymo 70-yard touchdown pass. You had the Jared Goff not throwing it in completion. Jared Goff also getting a receiving touchdown, and getting the monkey off our backs.
My biggest gripe with this game is that the NFL and the Hall of Fame will not recognize his perfect game because he only threw 18 passes and not the minimum 20.
They should have just had him throw like 2 more checkdowns just to say
So
fuck
he
it.
officially does not have the record for.
And instead of kneeling the game out after that last Kirby pick, they should have just had Goff throw 2 checkdowns.
Yeah.
So yeah, they won't recognize his 100% completion percentage as the official record, and Drew Brees keeps it.
I don't get that.
It's because they didn't throw 20 passes. They had to move the goalpost. Granted, all those
Neither
guys
did-
in the top 10 have thrown way more than 20 passes in those games.
But after the Seahawks Monday night game, the Lions had their they're technically first bye of the season, but they had their regular season bye 5 weeks into the season, and
Bullshit.
It's bullshit. And looking back, we needed that bye week more in the middle to middle end of the season, with how many injuries this team had. Speaking of injuries,
Yeah, this is where it all went downhill for us.
Lions, Cowboys, 47-9, but we lost our Pookie.
In the arms of the angels.
This is a game we lost Aiden Hutchinson for what we now know to be the rest of the season. This still hurts. I still get a little emotional sometimes when I think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it did. Outside of that, it felt good to put belt to ass to these motherfuckers. They deserved it. They always deserve it.
Yeah, fuck the Cowboys.
Do it again for him.
And also, happy birthday, Jerry. That was for you.
Yeah,
That game was for you.
this one's for you, Jerry. Birthday belt to ass. How old is he?
I don't know how old he turned that game.
So, funny thing to mention. So, yeah, Ian Hutchinson played how many games this season? 4.5, technically?
4.5.
4.5.
So, 7.5 sacks in 4.5 games was good enough to finish the regular season tied 36th with Max Crosby and Rashawn Gary. And that tied 36 is more like 15th in the league because of the way that they decide to handle the ties in statistics.
Is it by games played?
No, with the ties,
If
you have TJ Watt and Andrew Van Gink at 8, and then up next is Danielle Hunter, Jonathan Grenard, and Michael Parsons tied at 5th. So realistically, he's like either top 15 or top 20 in sacks, still in the entire league.
Yeah.
In 4.5 games.
That's insane.
It was fucking unreal.
It was insane. And it really hurt to see him go down like that. And that was just, it was like a domino, because after that moment, we had some injuries here and there before that.
Yeah, but they were like...
But after that, it was like a domino effect of just, and we just kept losing.
Davenport went shortly after, Derek Barnes shortly after,
Yep.
Rodrigo. And then we started getting into, well, he was always pretty much out.
Yeah, if he was pretty much always out.
Except
But
for
then
the
you get
last
to the
couple
We had some more depth guys.
Corners.
And then, well, it was, I think in order, it was Alex, Carlton, Aleem, Dorsey, and then as of recently, Amik.
Yeah.
I think for all went out.
But after Dallas, the first divisional game for the Lions this season was against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. Final score, Lions 31, Minnesota 29. This is the masturbator game where he hit the game winner. This is
before all this fucking beef really took off, too.
And this was a weird game because Minnesota started up 10-0. Then we went up 21-10, so we're up 11. And then they bring it within 4, but then we put it back up to 11. And then 2 field goals by the Vikings, and then Monty's fumble, guy gets scooped up, taken back for a touchdown. All of a sudden, the Lions are looking at it. They're down 29-28, sorry. And it's like, Jesus Christ. It felt like we controlled, outside of the start of the game,
Yeah.
I felt like the Lions controlled the majority of that game and just boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. But, thank God we had a kicker this year, because
Thank God we got a kicker for the future.
But then, sorry, Tennessee. This one was brutal. Lions 52, Titans 14. And statistically, when you're looking at just the box score, the offense did jack shit this game. Honest with you.
Yeah.
Leaf went off on with the punts.
Fuck.
Jared Goff at 85 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was our average start? It was on their end.
It was on their end, but then there's the Jared Goff only had 85 passing yards, and then you had the one drive where Jahmyr Gibbs just bust out 70 yards on the first play, and it was a touchdown. And
Yeah.
it was this game was stupid to watch. Like honestly,
This was also during that stretch of Goff having more touchdowns than
touchdowns,
incompletions thrown,
yes,
Yeah.
which was nuts.
I
which
remember-
started with the
I
Seahawks
remember we
game.
weren't together for the Tennessee game.
No, because this was
Thank
the
God.
Yeah, this was the day after the Michigan State game, so we were not together for this one because we were during the week. We were like, oh yeah, we'll just make Michigan State the vlog because it should be an easy game, and then everyone needed to recover
Yeah.
during this game. Which to your point, Sam.
Yeah.
thank
Thank God.
God, because if we did the board or what we normally do for this game, it would have been rough. Which
Touchdown shots go crazy.
we weren't. Well, we were only delaying the inevitable there.
Yeah.
But the very next week, we weren't together for this one either. Lions 24, Packers 14. I believe you two were, and me and Tony
Oh yeah.
were in Cleveland for this. This Brian Branch getting ejected. I still don't get it.
Yeah, because I made Sam come vote with me, and then we went and watched this game
Yeah.
with my dad's. I forgot about that. It's like, Sam, you voted yet? And he's like, no. I'm like, get ready, buddy. We're going.
Yep.
Another one of the games where the score doesn't make it. When you glance at the score, you don't think the Lions had control of that game, but it was 24-7
Yeah.
or 24-0, right?
It was 24-6 going into the fourth.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Well, 24-3 even. But yeah, the Lions controlled this game. It only continued to gain the confidence, and Brian Branch, and that was with, again, to go list out the injuries. You had all the injuries at the time, but then you also had Brian Branch getting thrown out halfway through the second quarter in that game,
Because
Which-
New York called down, which I'm pretty sure is probably the only time New York's done that this season. But whatever.
which again, I don't have an issue with that flag. It was a late hit, or it was an unnecessary hit, so I get the flag. But the ejection is what I have the problem with. That's where my issue lies, and especially again when you compare that to Jared Goff getting hit against the Commanders.
You set a precedent and you didn't stick with it. That's just.
Yeah, it was frustrating. But following that, we had the Sunday night matchup, Heart Racer, against the Texans, where the Lions won 26-23, where Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions,
Somehow we still won.
and somehow we still won.
Masturbator hit the. Bring double.
No, that was the Minnesota game, but he did.
That was?
Yeah, that was the Minnesota.
This is the
game.
one where he barely snuck in 2 field goals
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it is.
on each side of the uprights.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, this
Paint in the corners. You know what we call that in baseball? Paint.
this one, admittedly, we should have lost the way Goff played, but
Yeah.
It made me think that we'd kind of be able to stick it out no matter what, and this team was going to be able to handle the ups and downs of the season, and that you could kind of do that and get away with it. But clearly, as we'll see, as we already know,
Yeah.
you can't. But following that, we worked together for this game.
Get it ready.
52-6, the Lions took on the Jags, and this game was rough for us. This one,
That's how
I
we
mean-
felt after.
I don't really have much to talk about with this game. Crickets.
Fuck, I don't.
Jared
No.
Goff legacy game. 412 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Everyone thought it was going to be a blowout,
Yeah.
and it was.
I feel like, did I sleep here that night?
You probably did, Sam.
Was that?
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah.
Mm,
Or I might be thinking.
no shot. This is a 1 o'clock game. You do not
Oh,
stay
then
the
I
night
didn't.
here.
Yeah.
I think you had to hang out for a while.
Yeah, I had to hang
Stay
out
the
for a
night
minute.
Following that, we have the Indianapolis road trip that the boys went on, where the Lions took on the Colts. Lions 24, Colts 6. It's another one of those weird games, I feel like, where Lions controlled the whole game, and it just kind of was that, and never felt truly in danger of losing the game. But
It was one of the many games where we didn't let them score a touchdown.
Yeah, we right.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
we were confident the entire time.
yeah, it just kind of was what it was. It wasn't a blowout. It wasn't anything special. It's kind of a game you can look past. Besides Leaf getting hurt in this game.
Yeah.
And
Monty for a little bit.
Yeah, Monty got a little banged up in
Well,
this game.
this is where Anzalone broke his arm too.
No, that was Jacksonville. I did forget. We forgot that. It was Jacksonville.
You sure?
Mm-hmm. I looked it up earlier, like a week ago, because I thought it was also the Colts game. Well, it's Jacksonville. Although I did just look at the first headline, so I could be wrong about that.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
no, you're correct.
We always lost a defensive player during a belt ass.
Who did we lose in Tennessee, Sam?
No fucking clue.
Anyways,
Someone.
we moving on to Thanksgiving, where the Lions took on the Chicago Bears. 23-20 was the final score. Timeout? I think we should take a timeout here.
Yeah. Take a time out.
Take a timeout. Colby, how was being at the first Thanksgiving win in nearly a decade?
Stressful. We never went on Thanksgiving, and the Bears always give us trouble. So I thought we were cooked, but the Bear jersey brought the good luck.
I remember wearing all 3 of my jerseys
It was nice.
at the end.
It was nice, finally being able to go to Detroit to watch the game on Thanksgiving and get a win, because we go every year. And the Lions are going to Lions on Thanksgiving. Goddamn winning, give us moon cycles. I'm going to blow up the moon.
I'm gonna blow up the moon.
But following that, the Lions had another Thursday night game where they took on the Green Bay Packers, and they won 34-31. And when the nation got to see how massive Dan Campbell's ball sack was that night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the decision to go for it on that 4th down instead of just kicking the field goal, I still fully support it. I don't think it's that crazy, honestly.
It wasn't that crazy. And I also think this is the game where it fully started to become very obvious in everyone's minds. Like, this defense, it needed help, and you could tell that the injuries were getting to this defense. Because that played part into why Campbell went for it on that 4th down, because he wasn't fully confident that his defense was going to be able to stop Jordan Love and the Packers from marching down and being able to tie the game, force overtime with 30 seconds left, and then turn around and make a stop in overtime. So you start to see it here, and you really see it for the most part, for the next game and the 49ers game. The next game, that being against the Buffalo Bills, where the final score was 48 Buffalo, 42 Lions. I think in the reverse aspect, this game, I think we got a little bit of it handed to us in this game, if we're being honest with ourselves.
Yeah, the score does not indicate how bad this game was for us.
Yeah. It was
Sorry.
disgusting.
Just like my cough. But we all felt like, it is what it is. This team needed a little bit of a slap in the face, and we felt like that was the moment. We needed it. Then we turned around the very next week, take on the Chicago Bears in Chicago. Should have just left Ben Johnson there.
Yep.
34-17 was the final score. Not really a noteworthy game. Gonna be honest with you.
No.
We jumped out to a 20-0 lead.
And then
Just coasted.
And it was a game that truly didn't mean much. So at that point, once we got up to the lead, the game was not worth watching. And then moving on to what everyone thought was going to be a great rematch from the playoffs. Monday Night Football, the Lions traveled to San Francisco to take on the 49ers, where they won 40-34. Final score, it was more like, 40 to
40-28 before they scored
Yeah.
the overtime touchdown.
That's what I was. Yep. So I mean, but you saw the cracks with the defense in this one because
Yeah.
for a while there it just felt like whatever team made the first mistake offensively, that was going to be the team to lose the game, and it just coincided that the 49ers made the first two mistakes, and that was the game.
Yeah.
That the alarm bells really, now looking back, probably should have been going off in our heads that the defense was gonna need a miracle
Yeah.
to be able to get us through the rest of the season. But
that next week,
the next
all
week
those out the window.
came in, and all those worries got extinguished, and because the Lions Sunday Night Football for the 1 seed for the North took on the Minnesota Vikings, where they won 31-9. That was your last chance, so you took it.
Yeah. There was like somewhere I'm like, yeah, I could do it, but
And then kind of how I was talking about, where we had the worries, we should have realized them. When our defense then turns around and does this, we're like, cool.
we got our anchor. We got
We
Manel Zone, the anchor back.
Shuts down Jay Jettas. Mr. Pound for Pound.
So
Can't
felt
believe
really
it comes from
good.
Fucking dirt. Dog.
Felt really good. You
Yeah.
felt great. You get the 1 seed. You get to sit and watch the wild card round go by. We get to the divisional round. We already talked about it in the video from a week prior. So if you want a little bit more in-depth thoughts, analysis, reaction to that game, go check it out there. But Lions, Commanders 45, Lions 31. Season unfortunately came to an end way before anyone wanted it to. Based on how we're recording, we're all definitely still processing this loss. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you want more in-depth thoughts about this game, go check out last week's video.
Yeah, it still burns.
Yeah.
Before we get into talking about how the season went and all this and how our overall feelings, I just want to go over some of the coaching changes that are happening. I'm gonna dog on one guy specifically, Ben Johnson, because dude already has most of his staff kind of figured out. So it just clearly tells me the past 2 weeks he wasn't fully game planning for this game and was just trying to build his roster and build his coaching staff that he wanted to bring with him to Chicago, which tells me that Chicago definitely offered him the job and they probably had an under-the-table agreement on this. So further proves why there should be a rule that you cannot interview a team's coaches until they are out of the playoff race. And I do want to say there's probably some fucking tampering going on there, which really pisses me off. Is what it is, I guess. Sucks for us, but it's some bullshit.
Yeah, it speaks more to the Bears than anything.
While we were recording this, notification came out from the Twitter account JPA Football. Dude is pretty up to date with most stuff. The Jets are now calling other coaching candidates and telling them they're deciding to go with a different direction. So more than likely, it's pretty much all but confirmed that Aaron Glenn and Lance Newmark, who was a scout for us for 26 years, are probably heading to New York to become their new GM head coach combo.
New Jersey.
Aaron Glenn is probably out the door, which good for him. He coached his ass off.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Ben. I'm a little upset with you.
While you were going about it,
Fish. Oh.
it just first thing on my
Yeah.
Instagram, just first thing on my
Him
phone
arriving.
that popped up when I opened it was
Yeah,
Ben.
I saw those videos of him arriving earlier today.
It's
With those two being gone, though, I do want to talk about guys that could replace them.
Bring in the guy I wanted to be head coach. Or Dan Campbell.
They'll probably go the internal route. So when you're looking at offensive coordinator, it's more than likely going to be either Scotty Montgomery, who's the assistant head coach and the running backs coach, and or Tanner Engstrand, who's really kind of been the one groomed for that Ben Johnson role. He's the passing games
I've heard more
coordinator.
about Tanner.
Was the path that Ben Johnson took, and Ingstrand was also the tight ends coach, which is what Ben Johnson was. So it's kind of taken that kind of path, and I would expect him to be it. On the defensive side, there's probably really only one guy that they would think about going internally, which is Kelvin Shepard, linebackers coach. He used to play for the Giants. Dude's a dog.
He's
And
a
then
dog.
I think the only external guy they would probably consider would be Robert Saleh because of his Michigan ties. With that being said,
He also was a great, like, he was a pretty good head coach. He just, he had a diva as his quarterback, so.
yeah, let's talk about the purging of the Lions coaching staff that's about to probably happen. Hank Fraley has an interview set up with the Seattle Seahawks to become their offensive coordinator. He'll probably take that job. He's the best offensive line coach in the league. He's the reason why Frank Ragnow, Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell are as good as they are. Terrell Williams, our defensive lines coach, who, again, he's another one of the best defensive line coaches in the league. Obviously, I put Fraley above all of them. I fucking love Fraley. Is interviewing with the Patriots to become their defensive coordinator. He'll probably take that. I imagine Glenn poaches some guys. I imagine Ben poaches some guys. And honestly, it's going to suck, but I think the Lions kind of need this. I think we need a little bit of a reload, a little bit of a revitalization.
A little bit of a reset.
I do think not having Ben's offensive scheme here is going to be very good and very refreshing and very needed for us. And same with Glenn's man-heavy scheme. I think this is needed, and it's kind of a blessing in disguise. Obviously, these two, they both deserve their head coach spots. They both absolutely deserve it. But I do think that's going to kind of it's needed. And I think it's, like I said, going to be a blessing in disguise for us to change up. So now it's not, we know the Lions like to run the ball here. And, they like to run these trick plays and this trick play. They're probably running man coverage here. Maybe we get into like an exotic zone blitz kind of scheme.
Yeah.
I would like.
I will say, that Dan Campbell coaching tree
Gonna go crazy.
already looking crazy.
Let's see it.
Well, the way people will ultimately look at that, though, is the Sean Payton coaching tree, which is then the Andy Reid coaching tree, right? Sean Payton was...
Yes, I believe so. But I think Andy Reid also branches off from... I want to say Bill Shanahan, honestly. I think.
Yeah.
Because Bill Shanahan invented the West Coast offense, and that's what Andy Reid runs. I don't know.
Anyways.
We need more trees. Fuck these three trees you have, man.
We got
I
Dan Campbell tree.
agree with
Big
Colby.
roots,
I think
big
we
balls.
do kind of need this. It's like a soft reset. It's just like...
Keep the roster, just change up the
Yep.
guys running the shit.
And with how many key guys we'll have still on the roster, it's not going to be, unless the coordinator tries to come in and completely shake the boat,
Which Dan won't.
let them.
Brad won't let him. Brand's like, I'm getting you my guys that I want. You're gonna do what you want with them. Pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think a soft reset is what this team needs after the playoff performance that we just had.
I mean, it would have been nice to have at least one of the
Two of
coordinators
them
back.
stay.
Yeah, both of them stay. That would been perfect. Sorta, like,
I don't know.
especially if Ben Johnson wasn't entertaining Chicago for these last couple of weeks.
Potentially.
Allegedly.
Looking back at it, Ben really is a crazy ass motherfucker. Like we
Yeah.
always say, Dan, you're a crazy bitch, but those play calls came from Ben.
Yeah.
So Dan just okayed them.
Yeah, he'd be like, you know what? Fuck it.
Yep, happy for the guys, and
Yeah.
they deserve all of it. It's a little disappointed with how things have seemed to end with Ben, but
I wish nothing but bad for Ben. I wish nothing but good for Aaron, unless he plays those.
I mean,
that's just
Yeah,
that's
especially
just because
with-
he went
Ben's
to
the
the Bears,
division.
yeah, Ben going to the
Well,
Bears.
and I said it in the group chat, dude. If it was any other team, I wouldn't be pissed.
Yeah. I mean, we knew that the potential was way too high for it. It's not like. Damn, dude. Homie sound like a moose walking through molasses, bro.
With that being said, I think it's time we get into right in the seasons, or right in the season. So Tony, not here. He gave the Lions season an 8 out of 10, and his comment only said should have won the Super Bowl with the sad emoji. My rating, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of a 10 still. Don't care. It was still a fantastic season that I'd never give away.
Mhm.
I'd never change. It hurts the way it ended, but it was still a 10 out of 10 season.
10 out of 10 for the exact same reasons you said. You can't get much better than 15-2 when it comes to a Lions season ever. That's the greatest Lions season of all time. This is the greatest Lions offense of all time. One of the best defenses of all time.
Yeah.
It just sucks we came up short. I think there were some internal issues with that, and I think the injuries ultimately came up to bite us in the ass, and they were going to catch up to us at some point. We weren't invincible for too long.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. The sour taste in the mouth at the end of the season, it does hurt, but like you guys said, it was fantastic season. So much history was made. But
We're still undefeated in the Super Bowl, so that's why it's a 10 out of 10.
so yeah.
Can't lose the Super Bowl if you don't go to one.
Yeah, we truly appreciate you folks being here and spending the time. This is a long video, something that we have not done in a while, so we appreciate you being here, spending your time. Make sure you are sharing this with your friends, your family, your co-workers, your boss. Make sure you go and follow us on social media. We are on TikTok, Insta, Twitter /X, wherever you want to call it. We also have a Twitch.
All of it.
Like, comment, and subscribe on this video, but most importantly, at the end of the day, make sure you are hitting that bell.
Hit the bell.
We appreciate you being here. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Ben.
Darkness, my old friend.
I want to take a pic with Cardi B inside my cardigan.